Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel. I'm coming back with another tournament report. I was able to win my third League Cup yesterday with, of course, good old Regidrago. Yes, I took another League Cup victory home. It's my third League Cup win now, and it is not with another deck that happens to play good old Dragapult EX in the deck. I think Dragapult might be the best card in the game right now, just saying. But yes, I did win another League Cup, and I thought, well, let's do another tournament report. I know Regidrago was a very popular deck at the World Championships this year, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about the deck a bit in depth in my list, why I played it, give a bit of a tournament report. So if anybody wants to play Regidrago, they have a bit more of an insight on how the deck is played within today's video. And I like doing these tournament report videos. So if y'all are new to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We are on the road to 16,000 subs. We're getting super close. And of course, you go on to enjoy the video, leave a like and all that good stuff. So yeah, I ended up playing at Regidrago to a League Cup, and this is the 60 that I ended up bringing to the tournament. I've been working on this Drago deck for a few days now. If most of you might have seen, I streamed a Regidrago deck in an online tournament the other day on Thursday. And the list was a bit different. I was playing Iron Leaves in the deck. I was playing Turo in the deck. But this is the modified version that I came to and I really like. Because I played Regidrago to my locals on Friday. I went 3-3. Well, I went 4-2. I beat my friend, but my friend got down paired into me, so I just gave him the win. But we played out for fun. I did win that match. So I technically went 4-2, but I went 3-3. So overall, I was like, yeah, the Drago list is okay. I played the 60 to my locals, and I was like, okay, you know what? Drago's fine, but I think we need to go a little bit more with the list. So I kind of just changed the list around a little bit. I added a few extra cards. The big one, I think, was the Switch and the Jaming Tower. Originally, I played at Temple of Sinnoh. I've seen a lot of lists from the World Championships this weekend, also using Temple of Sinnoh, but I thought Jaming Tower was going to be a more valuable card, so I put Jaming Tower in. And actually, I did put it in on Friday to my local tournament, before the tournament, and I actually used it in round 1 to beat a Gardevoir. I went boss Jaming Tower for game on a turn where my opponent drift flumed me. So the Jaming Tower I thought was really good. It's really good if you can find it early against Charizard to shut off Forest Seal Stone. Yeah, I think Jaming Tower is good. I can see both Temple and Jaming Tower being the best stadium. It really depends on whether or not you hit enough Lugia, but I don't even know if Temple Sinnoh gives you that big of an advantage against Lugia anyways, because that matchup already is pretty tough. In my opinion, with or without the Temple of Sinnoh. I would rather just play Jaming Tower because you beat more matchups around Regidrago than just like one specific matchup. Like, I'm fine taking a potential rougher matchup to Lugia if it means I'm going to have a better time into other decks instead. But yeah, I ended up going to this League Challenge yesterday. I didn't know what I wanted to play. I was very much set on playing Charizard. But I was like, dude, last time I brought Charizard to a League Cup, I didn't do very good. So I ended up switching to Regidrago again. And I made a few modifications. I cut the Iron Leaves out of the deck, and I added in a second Superior Energy Retrieval. One thing I found with the deck was I really liked having Superior Retrieval in the deck in the late game, but sometimes I had to Legacy Start away early on. Sometimes I had to get rid of it early on in the game with like a Research or a Squawkabilly. So I decided to put a second one in the deck, because I think 2 is very, very good. And then also I cut the Turo for a Switch. So I think Switch is a more valuable card. Turo is definitely better into Snorlax, but I think Switch is just an overall better card because you can get a lot more value out of it in the early game when you want to switch into Regidrago V if you don't start with it. So yeah, the 60 I played, I honestly think this is one of the cleanest 60s I've had for a deck in a while. This deck felt really good. So I get there, and I look at the room, and I think, maybe the only Regidrago there, to my surprise, because I was expecting a lot more Regidrago, which I'm fine with. The mirror match isn't that bad, in my opinion. I know how to pilot the mirror pretty well. But I was like, wow, there is not a lot of Regidrago here. I'm the only one here. There was a lot of Charizard, which was really good, and there was a lot of Gardevoir and a lot of Raging Bolt. So I was hoping to dodge the Raging Bolt. The person that I came with, Sean, it was also on Raging Bolt. So I was like, all right, bro, if we hit, dude, we're either getting the ID or we are, hopefully I'm gonna win. So that was kind of my idea. But anyways, tournament report time. Round number 1, I ended up going against a Charizard deck. And this is going to be an interesting story with this Charizard person in particular, because I actually ended up playing against this person in the finals. So I picked Charizard round 1, and I think I went first? I forget. It was a little blurry, but whatever won the coin flip, He opened up with Cleffa, and I think he was able to get, I think I did go first, because he got like turn 1 Charmander, Pidgey, and then I went turn 2 Regidrago, Dragapult, knockout the Cleffa and a Charmander, because he left, or Pidgey and Charmander, because he left Cleffa in the active, because I found a boss, I think. And then I think he stamped me, but he whiffed Candy Zard off of the stamp. So he had a Cleffa, and then I think I went... He evolved into a Charmeleon. I think I KO'd the Charmeleon with a Boss. And then I think he just really scooped right after. Because I kind of checkmated. Like, I was really far ahead at that point because I had, like, Ogre Pawn set up and everything. It was, like, a pretty, like, quick Dragapult win. But Dragapult just happens to be a very terrorizing card against Charizard EX. Then round 2, I ended up playing against... I think it was Lugia. Yeah, round 2, I hit Lugia. And I actually made a tweet about this round because I had a horrible starting hand here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I had a abysmal starting hand. Yeah, this hand, right? This is the game I had. So this is my starting hand against Lugia round 2. I had Mew in the active, and this was my hand. Hawlucha, Radiant Charizard, Giratina, Prime Catcher Switch, Retrieval, Energy Switch. And I made a tweet about it because I was like kind of annoyed. I'm like, bro, what is this deck? Because like this deck, like Regidrago is a deck where like if you do not draw poorly, this deck is quite literally like the hottest deck in the room. The problem is you can get a lot of hands that look like this. And I top decked. I did top deck a research, I'm pretty sure. Because I went first. I won the coin flip, went first, started Mew, passed. And I know it was against Lugia, so I was like, I'm not going to bench anything, so I just passed. And then he does a Carmine, sets up, reads the winds, gets an Archeops and discard pile. I drew a research, but I researched into a Regidrago, and that's it. And like a bunch of energy. So I had a really bad follow-up, and then he had turn 2 Iron Bundle Boss or whatever on my Regidrago, which was pretty annoying. So he killed my lone Drago, and I just scooped it up. There's no way you can beat Lugia at that point. So pretty unfortunate L there, but the Lugia matchup's already pretty bad. So I guess if I'm going to have a horrible starting hand, I would rather have it against one of my worst matchups. But this is my issue with Regidrago. Regidrago does have those bricky hands. It's kind of like Lugia in a way where like you're going to have those games where your hands are just atrociously unplayable. Thankfully, round 3, we were able to turn it around. I hit a Dragapult Xatu deck. He went first, knowing what I was playing, but I was able to get a turn 1 Ogre Pawn knockout on his one Dreepy that he had in play. He had other Pokemon in play, but he did have one Dreepy in play, so I KO'd it with Ogre Pawn. I was able to go Squawk, double Teal Dance, E-Switch Boss, knockout lone Dreepy, and then from there, I proceeded to set up Regidrago, and from there, I was just kind of able to set up a lot of damage. I was basically the one Phantom diving first. But, I mean, just like the first game against Charizard, the matchup against these evolving Stage 2 decks tend to be pretty favored when you can immediately get Dragapult going because it's just really hard for them to set up a good board when you're just constantly spamming Dragapult. You also have the threat, pardon me, of Kyurem, which is really, really good too. And then round 4, I hit another Charizard. There was 5 rounds of Swiss, by the way. I hit another Charizard round 4. This one was playing Hero's Cape, which is a little bit harder to beat, because when they put a Hero's Cape on, they can actually survive a hit from Ogre Pawn with 3 energy on it, which is kind of tough to deal with. Not to mention, they can like put it on Pidgeot if they want, so I can't like Lost Impact. Because there's a lot of things you can do with Hero's Cape. I think if you want to play a Charizard deck that doesn't play Rabsca to beat Regidrago, your best bet is to probably play like Hero's Cape and Mist Energy. But yeah, this match was, I think, fine. He won the coin flip, I think, but he had to instant charge for a couple turns. I actually started Kyurem in this match, which I actually didn't mind because I was technically a turn behind on attacking because my opponent went first. So actually, it's better to start with a 1-prizer than a 2-prizer. So my opponent can't go like Dusclops knockout, Ogre Pawn, or Fez, or Drago if it's in the active. So it's better to open up Kyurem. And I was able to hit Prime Catcher, and I was able to get the first Dragapult off. Because a lot of the time against Charizard, you need to be the first one to take the first 2 prizes. Usually, that's how the matchup wants to go. You want to be able to take the first 2 prizes, which I was thankfully able to do because I was able to draw Prime Catcher for turn, which allowed me to move Kyurem, go into Drago, and then from there I kind of snowballed into a knockout. It got close, though. He did Iono me. His one win con was to like Iono me, but he Iono me into boss, so it just kind of is what it is. Iono's a lie. I had Fezandipity in play already, I'm pretty sure, so maybe I was going to get it anyways, because I had the Fez still, and I think I had 3 boss still in the deck, or 2 at least, and I got Iono into boss. It just kind of is what it is, and then obviously boss for game. And then we took the ID in round 9, and then Top Cut started. So Top Cut was my friend Mario on Lugia. There were 3 Charizards, 1 with Hero's Cape, and then 2 with Unfair Stamp, I think. The other Charizard had Mist Energy in the deck, so that would have been interesting. And then there was 2 Gardevoirs. No, there was 4 Charizard. Yeah, no, 4 Charizard, 1 Lugia, 1 Drago, 2 Gardevoir. That was the top 8, and I ended up hitting my friend Evan on Charizard, and it was the quickest set I think I've ever had with Regidrago. I felt really bad, but Kyurem is a monster, so I went second game 1, and I got turn 2 Kyurem. I don't think he benched Manaphy. No, he didn't bench Manaphy, so I got Kyurem, and I Kyuremed him, and he pretty much, like, the game was over, like, really quickly after the Kyurem. Next game, he went second again. He chose to go second in both games. And then, once again, I got a really fast Kyurem against him, and it was like all over. I think this time he had Manaphy in the active, but he couldn't move it, so I was able to go Cologne Kyurem and just KO his bench, and then from there it was like basically GG. So I go on to top 4, and I hit Gardevoir, my friend Felix on Gardevoir. Felix is a very good Gardevoir player, one of the big Gardevoir players in the GTA Toronto area, if you want to call it that. And yeah, it was definitely an interesting match. Once again, Kyurem was the MVP. Game 1, I ended up winning by using Kyurem for 3 prizes. It was actually funny. He Iono'd me into Boss, Kyurem, canceling Cologne, and I still had Legacy Star. So basically, both games, I was able to keep Legacy Star. No, I think game 1, I was able to keep Legacy Star for a very long time. And this is actually a key thing. When you're playing Regidrago, it's actually very important to try to keep Legacy Star as long as you can. It gives you a bigger advantage in any matchup, right? A lot of the time, you will have to Legacy Star early on in the game to try to get a Dragon in the discard, try to get that double E-switch combo. But if you have the ability to hold Legacy Star, a lot of the time you are very favored in a matchup because it's so easy to have a really big late game combo, and that's what I was able to do in game 1. I held Legacy Star, and when I got Iono'd into Boss Cologne Kyurem, I went Legacy Star, Earthen Vessel, Boss Cologne for GG's, and I Kyurem for my last 3 prizes. And then in game 2 is a bit different. He prized 2 rolls. I think he had like one turn where he unfair stamped me into research, which was like a crucial hit to like keep up in the game. He was playing Fezandipity in his deck, so he had Fezandipity on the bench. I had a really big turn where I took 4 prizes. He went Screamtail, so there was a Curly on the bench with 5 damage on it. There was a Fezandipity with 1 damage counter on it, and then the active was Screamtail with the 20 damage remaining from the attack because he sniped Immune and knocked it out. So I went Prime Catcher, KO. I Prime Catchered the Fezandipity in the active, and then I played Hawlucha down, and I Hawlucha'd the Curlia and the Screamtail. No, I think I... Oh, wait. I think I KO'd Screamtail with Hawlucha, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I KO'd the Screamtail with the Hawlucha, I think is what happened. Yeah, okay, I think that's what happened. Okay, my math was off. But yeah, I KO'd Screamtail with Hawlucha, and then what I did was I put 1 damage on Curlia. He had a Klefki on the bench too. So what I did was, because he didn't have Monkey Dory in play, so what I did was I put the extra damage on the Curlia, so when I went for Phantom Dive and I knocked out the Fezandipity and I put 2 on the Curlia, I put the remaining 4 on the Klefki. So what this basically allows me to do, because I went down to 1 prize remaining, what this allowed me to do is that if he could only Monkey Dory once in that turn. He could only do 1 Monkey Dory that turn, right? Because he had none in play, and he can only put 1 Monkey Dory and attach 1 energy, right? So he can only go 1 Monkey Dory. He can heal his own Klefki and remove the 3 damage counters off of it, but it would still have 1 damage counter on it because the Hawlucha math worked out on the Curlia. I was able to put the 4 on the Klefki, which means all I got to do to win is Phantom Dive the Klefki as long as it's in Turowit, but he had no Curlia in play, so he just had to have the Turo in his hand because I also kept his Fezandipity and stuff. So I think that play worked out really well and ended up winning me the game in the end. And then in finals, I hit Charizard, the same person I played against in round number 1 of the tournament. And game 1 was pretty interesting. He did win the coin flip, so he chose to go first, which is definitely big. Like, Charizard's a good matchup when you go second, usually if you can, like, get a turn to Drago. But when they go first, it can be a little sketchy. I think this game I opened up with Kyurem, which made it so he wouldn't bench, like, Manaphy or anything, but I started Kyurem, which, again, I don't mind opening up a 1-prizer against Charizard because it just means I have to make him counter catcher or boss me to kind of take a prize. So this game went fine. I think I had a good Prime Catcher turn. His bench was really clogged up game 1, if I remember correctly. And I had a turn where I went Dragapult, and I immediately KO'd his Duskull. Yeah, I think I KO'd his Duskull right away, so we couldn't use Dusclops. Because if he ever gets Dusclops, he can one-shot a Drago really easily. Because when you take 2 prizes with Regidrago, Charizard cannot KO a Regidrago. So a lot of the time, they're just going like counter catcher for that turn, right? Which gives you another turn of attacking with a fresh Regidrago. So that's why I went for the KO on the Duskull with Phantom Dive, so he doesn't have access to another... So he couldn't Dusclops my Drago and knock it out in the same turn. And then anything from there, I just went, like, I initiated the prize trade. He had a lot of really bad hits on Iono, where, like, he would Iono me, and I drew a research off of it, which was kind of funny. And then the second game went fine for him. He was, like, setting up and everything, but I think I was able to get a pretty fast Dragapult off. And I think what happened was... I can't remember exactly how I won in the finals. I know for a fact he did multiple judge shuffles with my deck because I kept drawing research off of Unfair Stamp in the first game. And the judge does a shuffle. And then he stamps me, and I draw research off of the stamp, off of the judge shuffle, which was hilarious. So we were like, it was kind of funny. I sacked pretty hard that game, not gonna lie. Both sets I sacked the research like every time. It was kind of crazy. And I ended up winning the game. I kind of had like a really good checkmate scenario where I had two Regidragos in play, I think. Because I still had my Legacy Star, I'm pretty sure, and then I had an Ogre Pawn, and I don't know. I remember I just kind of had like a checkmate board state set up where I couldn't really lose the game no matter what my opponent ended up doing that turn. So I ended up winning the League Cup. And yeah, Regidrago felt decent. I had that one game where I had an atrocious start. And that's ultimately Drago. Like, Drago either draws hot or doesn't. I mean, you saw in the top 8 match with Michael Davidson against Jesse Parker, you saw that top 8 match where Jesse kind of just ran Michael over because Michael just couldn't really set up that much. And that's kind of what Regidrago sometimes faults on, is like, it's a very fast and consistent deck, but you do tend to get these really abysmal starting hands sometimes. But the deck, I think, is very powerful nonetheless. And I like, after playing it, I can see why it's the BDIF. Like I said, it's really good into Charizard, and it's really good into Gardevoir. And a lot of the time, when you're able to hold that, Legacy Star, you can make these really big late-game plays. There's a lot of really intricate things you can do with Regidrago, especially with Kyurem in general. Like, we saw Isaiah Bradner do multiple Kyurems in a game to win a match over using, like, other attacks. So there's a lot of things you can do with it. One thing I'll say about this deck, though, when playing Regidrago, it's not easy to pilot, because you actually got to know when to use what attack, especially when to know to use Gudra and Dragapult. Gudra was a very instrumental piece to winning my game against Gardevoir in top 4, because I think I had turn 2 Dragapult, but I opted to go Gudra instead because I didn't want to put damage on the board for Monkey Dory, so I was trying to play around that. So I went Gudra, and it ended up paying off because his only play that turn was to hit my Regidrago with his active Gardevoir, and then I was able to Giratina his Gardevoir for a knockout. And I didn't take as much damage from the Gudra, or from the Gardevoir, because of the Gudra. So a lot of really cool things you can do with this deck. I think Regidrago, like I said, is easily the BDIF right now. It is by far the best deck in the format. I know it's not going to win the World Championships, which, who knows, maybe in a different world it would have, obviously. That's for a different story, but we'll have to see if Regidrago can keep it up at Baltimore. Definitely excited to play this deck some more. Maybe I'll play it to another Cup or Challenge coming up in the near future, because I really did enjoy playing the deck, and I can feel its strength and power after playing it. It was crazy stuff. But I hope you enjoyed today's video here on my mini tournament report, League Cup on Regidrago VSTAR. Third League Cup win in a row. We got 3 on the board, baby. I can win 1 more League Cup, and I've maxed out my cups for the season. Yo, LDF to Worlds, the dream might be real. Who knows? Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe down below. We're on the road to 16K subs, and I'll catch y'all in another video. Bye-bye.